Most people assume serial killers are a modern phenomenon, a product of broken homes, violent media, and urban anonymity. But America's first recognized serial killer walked the streets over 130 years ago. He built a hotel specifically designed to trap and kill his guests. He confessed to 27 murders. The real number was almost certainly far higher, and he did all of it while charming everyone around him into complete trust. This is the story of H.H. Holmes, the first serial killer America ever named. Chapter 1. The Man Behind the Smile. Herman Webster Mudgett was born in 1861 in New Hampshire into a respectable middle-class family. From childhood, he showed two qualities that would define his entire life: extraordinary intelligence and a complete absence of empathy. As a young boy, Herman was fascinated by medicine and anatomy. Neighborhood children remembered him dissecting animals with unsettling calm and curiosity. He was bullied at school and responded not with distress but with cold, calculated revenge against those who tormented him. He studied medicine at the University of Michigan, where he discovered something that would fuel his crimes for years. Medical schools needed cadavers for study and paid well for them. Herman began stealing bodies from the university morgue and collecting insurance money by taking out policies on corpses he claimed were accident victims. He was not yet 25 years old, and he was already defrauding insurance companies using dead bodies. He graduated, abandoned his wife and child without a second thought, changed his name to Dr. Henry Howard Holmes, and moved to Chicago. He was charming, handsome, and utterly convincing. Everyone who met him liked him immediately. Nobody suspected anything at all. Chapter 2. The Castle Chicago. In the late 1880s was booming. The city was preparing to host the 1893 World's Fair, one of the largest events in American history, which would bring hundreds of thousands of visitors flooding into the city. Holmes saw opportunity. He acquired a large plot of land in a Chicago neighborhood and began constructing what he told neighbors would be a hotel to accommodate World's Fair visitors. Construction workers came and went constantly. Holmes hired and fired them so rapidly that no single worker ever saw the full picture of what was being built. What they were building was not a hotel. It was a killing machine. The building Holmes constructed, which newspapers would later call the Murder Castle, was 3 stories tall and contained over 100 rooms. But these were no ordinary rooms. Some had no windows. Some had doors that opened onto brick walls. Hallways twisted and turned back on themselves in deliberately confusing layouts designed to disorient anyone trying to navigate them. Certain rooms were fitted with gas pipes connected to a control panel in Holmes's personal office, allowing him to pump lethal gas into any room in the building while his victim slept. Some rooms were soundproofed. There was a chute that ran directly from the upper floors to the basement. And in the basement, Holmes had installed a massive furnace and a surgical table equipped with dissection tools. Holmes was not building a hotel, he was building a factory designed specifically for murder. Chapter 3. The Victims. The World's Fair arrived in 1893, and with it came exactly the flood of visitors Holmes had anticipated. Young women travelling alone, secretaries looking for work, couples seeking affordable accommodation. They all found their way to Holmes's building, drawn by his charm, his reasonable prices, and his warm, welcoming manner. Holmes had a particular preference for young women with some money or insurance policies. He would hire them as assistants, begin romantic relationships with them, and then slowly isolate them from their families and friends. Once isolated, they simply disappeared. Some were gassed in their rooms at night. Some were locked in airtight vaults built into the walls of the building and left to suffocate. Bodies went down the chute to the basement, where Holmes dissected them, stripped the flesh from bones, and sold complete articulated skeletons to medical schools. The same scheme he had started as a student, but now on a horrifying industrial scale. Remaining remains were destroyed in the furnace. Holmes was simultaneously running multiple insurance fraud schemes, bigamy. He had several wives at once across different cities, and countless financial cons. He moved through life leaving a trail of cheated business partners, abandoned women, and missing persons that nobody connected because nobody was looking for a pattern. Chapter 4. The Unraveling. Holmes was not caught because of his murders. He was caught because of his greed. In 1894, Holmes was arrested in Texas for horse theft. a comparatively trivial crime. While in custody, investigators began untangling his extraordinary web of insurance frauds. One fraud in particular involved a man named Benjamin Pitezel, whom Holmes had supposedly helped fake his own death to collect insurance money. Investigators discovered that Pitezel was actually dead, genuinely murdered by Holmes, and that Holmes had subsequently murdered 3 of Pitezel's own children, while their mother travelled separately across the country, unaware her children were already dead. As investigators dug deeper, the full scale of Holmes's operation in Chicago began to emerge. They searched the murder castle and found the gas pipes, the sealed rooms, the chute, and the basement with its furnace and dissection table. Fragments of human bone were found in the ash of the furnace. The evidence was overwhelming and nauseating. Holmes was extradited to Philadelphia to stand trial for the murder of Benjamin Pitezel. The trial was swift. The evidence was devastating. Holmes was convicted and sentenced to death. Chapter 5. The Confession. While awaiting execution, Holmes did something unexpected. He confessed. But his confession was less a display of remorse and more a final performance, carefully calculated to generate maximum publicity and profit. Holmes sold his confession to a newspaper for a significant sum of money. In it, he claimed to have murdered 27 people, though he described some of the killings in ways that investigators found inconsistent with the evidence. Some people he claimed to have killed were later found alive. Others he did not mention were almost certainly among his victims. The true number of Holmes's victims remains unknown. Some historians estimate it was closer to 200. The chaos of the World's Fair, the constant stream of transient visitors to Chicago, and Holmes's systematic destruction of evidence make a precise count impossible. Chapter 6. The Execution. On May 7, 1896, H. Holmes was hanged at Moyamensing Prison in Philadelphia. He was 34 years old. Even his death contained a final strange request. Holmes had asked to be buried in cement, claiming he feared that body snatchers would steal his corpse. Given that he had built an entire criminal enterprise around stealing and selling corpses, it was perhaps the most darkly ironic final act imaginable. He was buried exactly as he requested, encased in cement, in a grave that has never been disturbed.